You are using your camera's metering mode wrong and it's making your photographs too dark or too bright. Stay to the end and I will show you the fix. So you take back control, take photos that are perfectly exposed, and demand attention to where you want your audience to see. And the real reason might surprise you because your camera doesn't even measure light the way you think it does. Here is the problem. There are two ways to measure light. One is incident and the other one is reflected. The main difference? Incident measures light coming directly from the source, and reflected measures light when it's bouncing off your subject or whatever else you have in the frame. Your camera does not measure incident light. Your camera only measures reflected light. And that leads to errors. Incident meter measures light fallen on the subject, not influenced by the subject's color, reflectance, or background, giving accurate, more consistent tonality. Meanwhile, reflected metering is easily fooled by variance in tonality, in color, in contrast, in background brightness, and everything you can think of. It regards all subjects as neutral gray, and that is the problem. Your camera sees light different than you do. And unless you know how it works, your exposure will never match your intention. Let's break down each metering mode and I'm going to show you how every single metering mode fails. Okay, let's break down evaluative metering first. The way this metering works is that it divides your frame into different zones and gives you a safe exposure. Nothing too dark, nothing too bright. Sounds useful, right? But here's the catch. Your eyes don't average like this. Your eyes adapts to contrast. It balances shadows and highlights naturally. The camera, on the other hand, flattens everything. Safe for the camera, but lifeless for you. And if you thought center weight solves this, wait till you see why it still fails. Alright guys, center weighted metering. This mode favors the middle of the frame, the edges don't matter much. So if your subject is in the center, it looks better. But your eye doesn't only focus in the middle, it focuses everywhere. You can still shift your gaze anywhere and see the subject clearly. The camera can't. It assumes the middle is the whole story you're trying to tell. Which means your subject still gets averaged out. And anything average is absolutely not good. You need to have highs and lows to create that emotion. Partial looks like a smarter solution, but it only hides the same problem in a bigger circle. Partial metering. A larger circle may be 10 to 15% of your entire frame. Designed for tricky contrast like the subject against a bright sky. But here's the issue. Your eyes separate subject from background instantly. Partial can't. It just blends everything inside the circle. Better than evaluative, yes, but still diluted. Still not true to your intention because everything is mushed into one simple way of seeing things for the camera, and that is gray. So what about spot metering? It sounds like full control, right? But even spot metering hides a trap. Okay, spot metering. Spot metering reads a very tiny spot in your frame, maybe 1 to 5%. Whatever you put inside that tiny spot, it measures. Sounds like precision, right? And in a way, it is. But your eyes see context. It knows white should stay white and black should stay black and have all the details. Spot metering does not. It just measures it and gives you the measurement based on the way it thinks and it understands. And that understanding is what you must understand. So what is your camera really transforming everything into? In a second, let's uncover that truth. And here is my honest opinion. Every camera meter measures reflected light, not incident light falling on your subject. only what bounces back from your subject, and it compares that reflected light with one target and one target alone. The middle gray. Bright snow, pull down. Dark fur, pulled up. Shadows lose depth. Highlights lose sparkle. Incident meter don't do that. They measure the actual light hitting your subject. They aren't fooled by color, reflectance, or background. But your camera's reflected meter, it's always fooled. And it always pulls tones towards gray. So how do you fix this? So there is one way which puts control back in your hands. Alright guys, here is the fix. At least this is the fix for me, and I use it with spot metering with intention. What do I mean by that? Now you know the secret. The camera speaks in reflected light, and the language it speaks is middle gray. But once you understand the language, you can take control. Spot metering gives you precision. You decide which part of the frame you want to measure, and then you place the tone where it belongs, or where it belongs in your mind. Want your whites to shine? Add exposure. Want your darks to stay rich? Take away some exposure. Don't let the camera average your story. Use spot plus intention. That's how you move from technically correct to unforgettable images. Alright guys, a quick recap. Evaluative averages the whole frame into gray. Center weighted averages the middle. Partial averages the large circle. A spot is precise, but without intention, it means nothing. It always will go back to gray. The difference is you, the artist, the photographer. With intention, you place tones where they belong or where you want them to belong. That's how you lead the viewer's eye and tell the story you want to tell. Not the camera. Stop letting your camera flatten the images. You know, it's easy for you to say, look at the histogram, everything is perfect, everything is great. That's awesome. It's great. But even an iPhone will take that photograph. It will take great photographs. But as a photographer, you want to play with light. You want intention in your photographs, because without intention, it's just taking a snapshot. Click, click. With your phone, you can do it. Why spend the money on these cameras then? Why do you want to become an artist? Why do you want to become a photographer? Take control and create photographs that are perfectly exposed, memorable, and full of emotions. And if exposure still feels confusing, go watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.